What's up, y'all? My name is JR, and for those of you who don't already know, I'm a huge movie and TV nerd. If you're new here, I appreciate you taking the time to check out my channel. I hope you'll consider sticking around and joining the film community I'm trying to build here on YouTube. So, in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to the House of the Dragon trailer for Season 2. And even though it's just a trailer, I feel like I should say that if you don't want any info on what may go down in Season 2 of this TV show, you should exit this video now. And with that being said, no more wasting time. Let's get into it. So, the trailer appears to begin with Rhaenyra standing on the shore of what looks like Shipbreaker Bay at Storm's End. No doubt she's there mourning the death of her son, Lucerys. And this feels to me like we'll be seeing this pretty early on in the season, maybe even in the first few minutes of the first episode, as it seems as though this is kind of the pretext for the greatly anticipated Dance of Dragons. Next, in the trailer, we see Aegon 2 entering the throne room with his Kingsguard. And I think this kind of shows us that he's gotten quite comfortable with the idea of being king. You know, something, if you remember, he had to be thoroughly convinced to do, almost at the point of, the threat of violence at the end of last season. And I got to reiterate here, I thought it was the absolute height of stupidity for Rhaenys to spare the Greens after she escaped the Dragon Pit with Meleys, as she could have ended this war before it ever got started. But, then I guess that if the writers had chosen to have her do that, we wouldn't have a season 2 of this show to look forward to. So I guess it was a narrative decision that had to be made, although I would have just had Rhaenys secretly escape the Dragon Pit with her dragon somehow and make her way back to Dragonstone before any of the Greens knew she was gone. But, that's just me, I guess. So from there, we see Daemon, likely on Dragonstone, dressed in his full armor, grabbing his helmet as he exits the room, as though he's preparing to depart for war. And listen, guys, the turn up with Daemon is so real. I mean, my man's got all kind of anger issues, and I have to admit, I'm here for all of it. Like, he's one of my favorite characters, hands down, in this show, even though I'm all the way Team Green in this particular conflict, mostly because I don't like Rhaenyra, and I don't think she should be queen for a myriad of reasons, but I'll save that for another video. So next, we get what looks like one of Rhaenyra's military camps, seeing as the lookout is waving a banner with a red three-headed dragon on a black field. I'm not sure where this is or what battle it's, preceding, but I do know it's a camp full of supporters of the blacks. After that, we get the High Towers marching off to war. And I'm wondering if this could be their army headed towards Long Table or Bitterbridge. I'm actually curious as to how many years season 2 is gonna cover. The writers managed to cover 28 years in season 1 of the show, so I'm really interested to see what the timeline is gonna look like for season 2. I also don't know how many of the battles during the Dance of the Dragons we're actually gonna get to see take place. But personally, I'm down for 8 episodes of pure unmitigated taxation. I mean, maybe that's just me. I don't know. Next, we see a group of soldiers in line as though they're awaiting orders of some kind. And, it looks like a tense situation, maybe like a dragon's about to show up. And it looks like by the sigils on their shield that this is a mixture of soldiers from House Roseby and House Stokeworth, which would mean this must be the beginning of the Battle of Rook's Rest. Where we can expect to see Sir Criston Cole, Aegon Targaryen, second of his name. He's my king, at least. And Prince Aemon Targaryen on the side of the Greens, along with Sunfire and Vhagar. And on the side of the Blacks, we'll get Lord Staunton and Princess Rhaenyra and Rhaenys riding Meleys. And here is where we should probably expect to see the death of both Rhaenys and her dragon. And, Aegon sustained severe injuries. Spoiler alert. We then get Otto Hightower and Queen Alicent in the Red Keep at King's Landing, and maybe even in the Tower of the Hand at this point, having a deep conversation about the consequences of war. From there, we see Kristen Cole doling out some of those consequences by beheading someone on a beach. I'm not sure who it is, but it's probably someone being beheaded for treason. And seeing as how it's Kristen Cole doing the beheading, it must be someone who is a supporter of the blacks. Now, from there, we see a series of dramatic shots of Aegon II sitting the throne, Rhaenyra at what looks like Dragonstone, and then Alicent in the Red Keep blowing out a candle. Then we see what must be an unclaimed dragon flying over a lake with lots of green grass around, nice pretty scenery, and someone down on the ground looking up at it. And I wonder if this might be Sheep Stealer, and the person staring up at him is Nettles. I know there are 3 wild dragons on the Dragon Mount. Sea Smoke, with Laenor being MIA. You got Sheep Stealer and you got Vermithor. And I think maybe we saw Vermithor late last season when Daemon went into the caverns on Dragonstone looking for wild dragons. And it's Sheep Stealer that supposedly would fly back and forth from Dragonstone to Driftmark and a place called the Windwater, stealing and eating the sheep. And that's how the dragon got its name. And I know that Nettles was eventually the dragon seed who tamed him, so I'm thinking that's who this is here. The next thing that we get to see is an army emerging from the woods at what again looks like it might be the beginning of the Battle of Rook's Rest. So again, I assume this is House Roseby and House Stokeworth, and it's probably just a few seconds before the other shot we saw them earlier in the trailer standing there awaiting orders. Now, here we see shots of Rhaenyra on Dragonstone at the painted table, and then Corlys Velaryon, who was named her hand, likely advising her. Then we see Daemon, beheading someone, likely someone accused of treason. And it might be Otto Hightower and his crew after Rhaenyra secures King's Landing. I know Otto Hightower is killed after that happens, and it looks like Daemon is super crunk to deliver the blow, and we all know he can't stand Otto Hightower, so that would be my guess as to what's going on in this particular shot. Next, we see Aemon approaching an unoccupied Iron Throne. Now, this could be right after Rook's Rest, and Aegon is severely injured. So, maybe this is, Aemon considering the idea that he may be called upon to rule in his brother's stead for a bit, but, I guess we'll see. Now, we get a scene that has a group of men moving through the woods in the dark, and I don't know who this is. It could be a number of things at this point, but I do wonder if we may get a chance to see the Night's Watch at some point during the series, and maybe this could be something like that. I really don't know, so don't quote me on that. But then we get Alicent next to a body of water dressed in rags. So this looked like it might be after the fall of King's Landing when Rhaenyra took her prisoner. She looks like she's pretty melancholy here, so we know something super messed up has taken place, and the Greens have suffered some kind of a blow. Now, in the next scene, I'm not really sure who Rhaenyra is staring at in this standoff on the beach, but it does look like it's going to be tense, at least for a minute. But the other dragon looks like it could be Sea Smoke, so I wonder if that could be Adam of Hull. I'm not sure, but I guess, that's we'll have to wait and see kind of situation. From there, we get a quick shot of the dragon pit before we get a shot of Helena staring up at something. And I got to tell you, baby girl looks like she's about ready to tap out. We know that after the whole blood and cheese situation, she eventually ends her life. So maybe this is her contemplating that decision. Then we get a quick shot of some kind of parade or procession through King's Landing. And that could be a number of things. My guess, maybe it's a celebration after Rhaenyra has secured the Iron Throne. I'm not sure. From there, we get some pretty cool looking action shots of what looks like, again, it could be Rook's Rest. Then we get the quote from Rhaenys there are no wars so bloody as a war between dragons. And I don't know about you, but that sounds to me like the last thing of consequence she'll ever say before she ends up in Thug's mansion, like straight up. That sounds like a goodbye to me. Then we see what looks like a wide shot of the fall of King's Landing, the actual fall of King's Landing. We see Alicent scrambling around and people are scattering and looks like they're screaming and kind of panicking as though someone or something is either above or inside the city who should not be there, right? So that would be my guess as to what's going on there. Then we get more quick action shots that mostly look like they're, again, from the Battles of Rook's Rest. And it looks like most of this trailer is the Battle of Rook's Rest. They're kind of like, weaving the shots in between that to kind of get everybody hyped, so. But in between some of those shots, we get what looks like a skirmish involving some other houses, maybe somewhere, maybe somewhere around Harrenhal or, that area. There's a lot of little skirmishes that break out, involving like House Bracken and some other houses. And then we get a quick shot of the blood and cheese situation, which I have to say, I'm not looking forward to. I mean, I know it's a big story beat and it kind of precipitates some other events. So we kind of have to have that in there. But I'm not looking forward to it, man. It feels to me like that's going to be some Red Wedding level trauma, for for all of us. But I mean, I guess we'll do what we got to do, right? Then we get to see Kristen Cole doing some more work. And then lastly, we see Prince Aemon and Princess Rhaenyra on Dragonback, no doubt, about to have some folks escorted out of the building. Now, guys, I'm really excited for season 2 of this show, y'all. Like super duper excited. Even though the final couple of seasons of Game of Thrones really left a lot to be desired for me. Season 1 of House of the Dragon, it was fine. But it was just the setup, right? The Dance of the Dragon is the main event for House of the Dragon. Maybe even more so than the battle at Winterfell was for Game of Thrones. It's the thing that we all paid the price of admission to see. And though Dan and Dave let me down in so many ways I can't forgive, the one thing that makes me trust the process here with this show is that Fire and Blood has already been written to completion. So the writers literally have the answers to the test here. And given that fact, it would be unforgivable for them to mess this up. But what do you guys think? Do you think season 2 of House of the Dragon can make Westeros great again? Or do you think we're setting ourselves up for a letdown of epic proportion? Let me know in the comments. And for those of you who might be new to the channel, be sure to like and share this video. If you really like the content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. Also, be sure to go and check out themaskscreenwriter.com for more television and film reviews and info on my upcoming film projects. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I got screenplays to write. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.